Welcome to SC Conversation. I'm your host, Brian Mosteller. Here today with Roger Sims with Sims and Karr Financial Solutions. Roger, welcome to the show.
Thanks, glad to be here.
Good. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I live in Greer now, but I grew up in a little town called Fort Valley, Georgia. A little small place down in the middle of Georgia. It's very much like Greer in that it's where they raise most of the peaches down in Georgia. So even though we're called the Peach State, most of them are raised right there or grown right there. But I went to Carson-Newman College, met my wife there. She was from Greer. And so that was not really our intent in moving to Greer because she was here, but Fairview Baptist Church called me as their youth minister. So for 10 years I was there. And then actually worked for a year at North Greenville University, but now have our own business doing financial planning. And but been here in Greer almost 30 years now, so hard to believe.
Wow. Well, what'd you do up in North Greenville?
I was the director of their admissions program.
Oh, so. Wow. Okay. I don't think I ever knew that.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. Now, that was back when it was
North Greenville. It was actually still a junior college.
It was still a junior college back then?
At that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was there when they started the football program back.
Okay.
So that dates me a little bit.
Yeah. Because I remember you when you were the youth minister up at Fairview. Because we used to come up there a lot and play basketball. Because there wasn't many gyms.
Right.
Back then in Greer. So we used to come up there. So how'd you get into the industry, the financial industry?
Well, it's kind of one of those things. I knew I wasn't really called a pastor. So as I really began to search what I wanted to do, as I aged out of the youth ministry, felt like it was kind of time to let someone younger kind of step in. I had a good friend that was a president of a local bank who approached me, and it had actually been talking to me for a couple of years about they wanted to start an investment program. And they wanted to use someone in the community that they felt had a trust level in the community. They weren't looking for a slick salesperson or anything like that, or really a lot of experience. They wanted to train the person, and so we just had a conversation one day. The bank was physically adding on, and during that time they brought me on, and I just studied to get all my licenses and really kind of get up to speed in that industry. So I was there for almost 12 years before I had brought a partner on while I was there. And during that 07, 08, 09 time period when the economy was really struggling, we just saw a lot of changes happening, things that were happening not only at the bank, maybe changes there, but just in the economy itself. And we decided to go out on our own and kind of get out from under the pressures of all the corporate side of things, maybe. Right. And kind of have our own place. So.
Yeah, and that's a big step. I've done that before when you kind of have your security because you've got your bank there and you've got the clients coming in the door and you have your place, and then you say, oh, I'm going out on my own, and you got to find your place, and then you're like, hey, this is all on me.
Yeah.
All on me now.
Yeah.
So how was that transition?
It was the bank was fantastic as far as supporting us and allowing us to step into the financial services industry, and they allowed me to really learn. The transition, just took a little bit of time. A good friend of mine stepped in and kind of took my place at the bank, so that worked out well. And then we just slowly, because we had developed a relationship with a guy named Dave Ramsey. We were his endorsed local provider in the area, and so we just had lots of our clients were coming from all over the upstate. We were the only person that he recommended in the entire upstate, and so a lot of those clients who didn't really have a relationship at the bank, followed us there. So.
Okay. Well, what type of investments do you do?
We predominantly, I'd say most of our stuff is retirement planning, but not solely that. We do a lot of college funding. The one thing we don't do is like stock investing, those kind of things. That's just risky. We try to take a real long-term approach in helping people achieve their financial goals. But that's most of what we do, I'd say the majority. And then other just general investing, other people want to build wealth outside of their retirement accounts or those kind of things. But
So give me some examples of that. If they want to build some wealth outside of their retirement accounts, what type of things would you guys look at for somebody?
yeah, we do. I mean, different kinds of investments, mostly mutual funds.
Okay.
But there are obviously lots of different kinds in that. But you would just either do a joint account or an individual account. It would be in a taxable situation, other than tax sheltered like a retirement account would be.
Right.
But just helping people achieve, once again, their goals and what they're trying to do, whether it's saving for more retirement or saving for a home or a down payment or something like that, or those kind of things. So.
Now, what are some of the companies that you work with to, say, like I'm in my late 50s, when naturally I don't want to do everything risky,
Right.
because I'm getting close to retirement, but I'm not quite there yet. So I would like to do a little bit of risk. So are those the things you talk to your clients about what they want to do and how risky they want to get and things like that?
Yeah, so everybody kind of has their own risk tolerance in what they want to do. They have their own time frames. Some people are still in the growth mode. Some people are getting close to income. So everybody's a little different. So we become kind of like a doctor. We want to hear all that you need, and then we try to prescribe a solution to that. So yeah, we have safe investments as well as more aggressive kinds of mutual funds too. We do real estate investment trust, which are kind of like a mutual fund made up of real estate, things that aren't necessarily in the market, and different things like that would diversify a person as much as we can. So,
well, what are you just talking about? Because I've never really heard of that. The real estate fund trust. What's that made up of?
Well, there are different kinds. There are mutual funds that basically do that, but the most kind we do as a part of a portfolio would be more of what they call a non-traded, and they call them REITs, R-E-I-T, Real Estate Investment Trust. And they basically own properties. So there are all kinds of different ones. I mean, you can have healthcare REITs that own hospitals and nursing homes and doctor's offices, and basically like the local Prisma now, I still want to call it the Greenville, I'm still getting used to that. But the local one here in Greer was built by the hospital system, and then it was sold to a REIT because the hospital would much rather just rent and pay that and invest their money into health care. So, but they built exactly what they wanted and then sold the property, and the REITs just collect rent. And then as investors, we get part of the dividends and the interest that's paid through the rents.
Okay. Now, do those go? Because it's kind of interesting to me. Do those go up like every year? Is it like a stock, or do you get like a dividend from the amount of rent you get? Yeah,
so you could definitely get dividends, and most of them pay in the 5 to 6% range, which is definitely much better than you're going to get in most other things. Right. They appreciate as the properties appreciate. So normally the REITs will revalue them, get appraisals on them on a yearly basis. But every month they're paying out dividends. You can choose to reinvest those, or you can choose to take them as income. We have both. Some people choose to reinvest and continue to build the portfolio, and others, that's part of the income that comes to them on a monthly basis.
Okay, good. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. So what do you do from like a college fund standpoint? How does that work?
We predominantly do 529 plans. That was something that was created through the tax code, just like 401k. It's nothing more than a IRS number, 529, that talks about that you can do tax-free growth within a 529 plan. The nice thing about the South Carolina plan is you actually get a tax deduction on your state taxes. So there's an incentive to do that. But we invest it. It's very much like a Roth IRA, and it's growing tax-free, as long as it's used for education.
Okay.
Yep.
So what about like if, say somebody had an IRA at a bank and they said, it's not getting that much money. I'd like to take part of that out and maybe give it to you guys to do some investing with it to make it grow, a little more. Would that be taxed because it's in an IRA at a bank? Because you're really just rolling it over, right?
Correct. You're just transferring it, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're going from one tax deferred vehicle to another tax deferred, or if it's a Roth IRA, tax free to tax free. But yeah, you're.
Okay.
Usually we would submit directly to the bank, have it come in that way.
Okay. Good. So tell us a little bit about your staff.
I have a partner, Jason Karr. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here tonight, but we've been together almost 20 years now. So a little younger than me, so the legacy will continue on when I'm ready to, I guess, walk away. Right. But yeah, great partnership. We have 3 support staff other than the 2 of us. And one of our staff member, a fellow named BK, is dedicated to building portfolios for us, staying on top of the mutual funds, and most everyone else is service oriented. Okay.
Well, you guys do a great job because I'm one of your customers. I'm one of your clients. So and have been for a number of years. You know, I just like to keep my money local with local people, and you guys have done a great job, and I enjoy getting your monthly, newsletter. Can't say I read the whole thing. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in it, but you try to. I like how y'all try to keep the communication path open, and to kind of what you feel like the markets are doing, things like that, rather than just, hey, give me your money, and I'll send you a statement every how often. Yeah. You guys seem to communicate, and I really like that. Really
one of the things in our relationship with Dave Ramsey, he always had a saying that we need to have the heart of a teacher, and that's part of what we try to do is make sure people understand the best they can what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, I know I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys sponsoring the show too. So
hey, glad to. You're doing a great job.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, Roger.
Sure.
Well, thanks again, Roger. Come back on the show anytime. Maybe we can get Jason on there sometime too.
Next time.
But really appreciate your time, and thanks for all you do from the investing for people, and thanks again from SC Conversation.
Thanks.
I would like to take this time to thank all of the wonderful people and businesses who are sponsoring this show. When you visit the businesses, be sure to go in and tell them thank you for sponsoring SC Conversation.
Hardwood flooring is the most popular kind of flooring, and no one has a larger selection of hardwood flooring than Greer Flooring Center. Remember, you'll always find what you're looking for at the price you're looking for at Greer Flooring Center.
Hey, Upstate, Dave Ramsey here to tell you about our investing ELPs, Roger Sims and Jason Karr at Sims & Karr Financial Solutions. Roger and Jason are the only people I personally endorse for investing right here in the Upstate. They specialize in retirement planning, 401k rollovers, as well as mutual funds and other investments. I personally recommend Roger Sims and Jason Karr of Sims & Karr Financial Solutions. Call Roger and Jason today at 879-0337. That's 879-0337.
All South Carolinians are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccines. For help finding a vaccine location in your area, visit scdhec.gov/vaxlocator or call 1-866-365-8110. COVID-19 vaccines are free and don't require ID or insurance. Visit scdhec.gov/vaxlocator or call 1-866-365-8110 to find a vaccine location near you.
Hello, welcome to SC Conversation. I'm your host, Brian Mosteller. Our guest today is Rick Danner, Mayor of Greer, South Carolina. Rick, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Brian. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Rick.
Brian, I came to South Carolina through my father's job. My family moved here in the early 70s, and I graduated from high school in Florence, South Carolina, and went to Clemson and met my future wife there at Clemson. And she was from Greer, so naturally we just came to Greer after school was out, and we got married shortly after we graduated. And we live in downtown Greer. We live about 2 blocks from where she was born and raised, so it's home for us now. So, yep.
Good. Yeah, Rita, she's a very nice person. She taught both my kids.
Oh, that's well, I've forgotten about that. Yeah, she spent 30 years in the school district, the Greenville School District, and she taught a lot of kids, and so. Yeah, great teacher, and she loved those times. And both our boys were raised here in Greer and went through the Greer school systems, the Greenville County school system. So yeah, a lot of good memories from that time.
Yeah, a lot. Especially, I think one of the big things was Halloween, because everybody would come to y'all's house at Halloween. I think more because of your wife.
Yeah, well, I always feel like that they're bringing them in bus loads or something, because every year we buy more and more candy.
Right. How long have you been mayor?
Elected in '99 and took office in 2000, so I'm in my 21st year.
Okay. Wow, doesn't seem like that in a way, but in another way, Greer's changed so much. It does seem like a long time. So, what was Greer like in the early years versus kind of how it is today?
Well, Brian, it really is the tale of two cities. I mean, it truly is, because if you look back at the history of Greer from its incorporation, actually in 1876, it's like a lot of southern towns, small southern towns. It's had sort of waves of growth. And so we saw the growth around the establishment of the mills. We saw the growth from the early 20s and 30s, from the 40s and 50s. We unfortunately were in a bit of a slump through the 70s and 80s. Downtown was in real decline. And certainly the news of BMW coming to Greer was welcome. I don't think anybody had any real idea at that time about the changes that would come, but it wasn't necessarily directly related to that as much as it was the spinoff from the presence of BMW. So by the time we got to the mid-late 90s, I think the community was ripe for some change. And up until that point, unfortunately, there had been several directives all trying to go in the same direction, but the Partnership for Tomorrow came together in the late 90s and formed a group of folks that were forward-looking and visionary and had a plan, and the city obviously was a part of that. And so by the late 90s, there was some vision about what could take place in the community, and unfortunately, that was the seed that sort of started everything.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember, as a young child, because I was born and raised in Greer. we would go down to the Miss Altas and Price's Feed and everything, and then just like what you said, during the early 80s and in the 90s, those buildings were just all vacant. And it was almost like a ghost town down there, with a few places, like Smith and James was still there.
Sure.
CBL was still there, Citizen Building and Loan, things like that. And of course, Mike Bullock, was still there.
Mike, and he's still there.
Yeah, he's still there, right. And you had JD's and Louise's, little restaurant there. But for the most part, you just didn't see people, walking around or really doing anything. I know you said the Partnership for Tomorrow, but talked about it a little bit. But what do you think really kicked it off? Because to me, I didn't see a lot of support in the beginning for the revitalization. I think everybody, and maybe I was one of them, that wanted to see Greer like it used to be.
Yeah.
But I think people like yourself, it was good that you weren't born and raised here and see how booming it was. So you were you were looking forward more than a lot of people were wanting it to be the way it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's obviously some truth to that. One of the things, though, that came out of the partnership that had never really existed before then was this plan, a literal plan, a vision for what downtown could look like and ways to sort of bring it back. There wasn't universal buy-in on that, but I think what took place was that City Council and City Administrator at that time and myself certainly understood that the heart of any city is their downtown. It really is the lifeblood and the beat of a community. And we realized that there was going to have to be substantial, significant change to revitalize that and to grow it. But the opportunity was there. Good, solid downtown, turn of the century, brick buildings, the scale was good, the street was nice. I mean, it was, you know, we had good bones, so to speak.
Right.
And so, you know, once we had this new administration and new city administrator and a vision about where we wanted to go, from about 2000 to 2004 or 5, we were really tweaking that, figuring out exactly what we wanted to do. And out of that came this vision to do a new city hall space and park in the downtown area that was walkable to downtown. And if anything, I think that was probably the impetus for the real turnaround that we saw in downtown, because that building and the courthouse were both built simultaneously in 2007. That was about $25 million the city invested in those two facilities alone. And I think that was really what lit the fuse.
Oh, I totally agree. It's amazing to go down to like the July the 4th and other events down there, and it's just awesome to see everybody down there. You see a smile on everybody's face, you know, and then you have some restaurants like Wild Ace, you know, Chris and Denise, they're sponsoring the show, so thanks to them. But then you still have the Clock, you know, in Greer right up the street, Jimmy. But you know, there's so many new restaurants and all down, you know, down both sides of the street, and just seems to be so much going on, you know, in Greer. So what are some of the events that you have every year down there, Rick?
Well, there's a number of events that go on, you know, through the year. Trade Street has become, which is our central street, the one through the middle of town there, really has become home of many of those events. We use the park, of course. We have a facility called the Cannon Center, which is the old armory that we have converted into a special event space. So on the city side, most of our events revolve around the Cannon Center, the park, the City Hall, or Trade Street. There is a Merchants Association for downtown. They use Trade Street a lot as well too. And then the Chamber's doing events. So there's not a weekend that goes by that there's not an event of some type going on. We have just completed a $13 million renovation of Trade Street. And that has proven to be wildly popular. And so the Merchants Association did a series of outdoor dining events in the fall. They'll bring those back in the spring. We'll have the Family Festival coming up here in the spring, the 4th of July. You've already mentioned that one. We actually do ours the weekend before. So, you know, if you go to the City of Greer website or the Chamber website, or the Greer Development Corporation's website, which houses the Merchants Association, there is a wealth of information about special events on that. So again, every weekend there's something going on in downtown Greer.
Yeah, so you mentioned the $13 million project, which is beautiful down there. Anybody who, you know, who hadn't been down there needs to come. So what are some projects that are going on you see maybe near term, long term?
Well, the two big ones, or actually three, are the fact that we've got a hotel coming downtown, midway in construction. They will probably open late spring, early summer. The building right behind that is the city parking garage. I expect that to be open anytime. We're waiting for some weather so we can get some final grading done and some paving and those sorts of things done, but that'll add new parking spaces downtown. And then we're going to have our first urban apartment building, which will be across the street there from the parking garage, which is going to add another couple of hundred residential units in forms of apartments downtown, creating foot traffic for downtown. So those are all three coming to fruition here in the in the next 6 to 9 months.
That's great. Tell us a little bit about the what did you just call it? Across from the parking garage?
It's
the apartments?
It'll
what
be
is
apartments.
That?
Yeah, it'll be market rate apartments.
Okay. Okay.
It's a urban design, so it fits in the area down there.
Okay.
And we think it's going to be attractive to young professionals, to people that are moving to our area and want to get a feel for the town.
Right.
As well as we may have some retirees and others, but it's called Park View because it literally is across the street from the park and the pond down there.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Rick, thanks for all you do in Greer. I know you've done a lot since you've been mayor, and congratulations on that. And continue to be the mayor there. You've got a good city council too.
We really do. Great folks on city council.
They're a bunch of really good folks that people can talk to.
Yep.
It's like people can talk to you. People can talk to the city council. I think that's why the things in Greer and the growth you have there has been really good and sustainable. So anyway, thanks for watching ISC Conversation. Thanks again to our guests and our wonderful sponsors. Remember, you can stay informed about SC Conversation during the week on our Facebook page and website. Also, feel free to send us an email at info@scconversation.com. Thanks for watching and have a great evening.